So to put us in perspective, we're talking about the Dreamcast. That NFL 2K game had a first-person mode in a football game. Damn. So like you are looking through the helmet, and that was like years before anybody else attempted that stuff.
That was on Dreamcast?
So that was on Dreamcast, yeah.
Weird. That is a good segue into talking about virtual reality.
That is, and this is Best Darn Everything, a weekly show where we take our every other week show. I still haven't looked up how to say that. But we take a break from The Simpsons and we talk about something else that we are passionate about. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off. Joining me, as always, tonight, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid.
I am interested today because we actually all have some form of VR now after Richie finally jumped on the train a week ago. So, like, I'm interested to hear everybody's perspectives about it. I mean, I think we got the right group of people for this conversation. I'm glad Carlos is finally here for the first time. That'll be exciting.
Whoop, whoop,
whoop. We should, I guess, start by giving everybody's credentials that are on our show. I know that Toby down there does some kind of show that might give him a little bit of, warranting of being on the episode. Sorry, this moth's been stealing my attention the entire time. Every time we hit record, there's a moth that flies around my room, and I never see it.
Mothman.
I actually hit the release moth button every time I hit the record button.
I never see it when we're not recording, but every week I see it, and I know that I'm like grabbing stuff out of the air a lot of times.
The dogs with mouths in their mouths, and when they bark, they shoot moths at you.
Got it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, killed it.
It got on my microphone, man. What was I supposed to do?
Use chopsticks next time, sir. Like Miyagi would want. We have with us tonight, returning, he's our most prolific guest by far. I don't even know how many times you've been on the show at this point. It's from the Secret Levels podcast, is really just the head of Bad Secret Media. Welcome back, Toby Von Doom.
Yo.
And very excited tonight for the first time. We've tried to have this guy on the show a few times. He apparently got too stoned on 420 to be a part of it, or he had a day job. I can't remember. It was one of the two. But we've been really excited to have this guy on the show. He's a good friend of ours. Welcome, Carlos Ayala.
Thank you.
Such a good friend. You can't say his name.
You have the most prolific guest and the least prolific guest at the
That's
same
exactly
time.
correct. Yes, we like to bring balance to the universe. Welcome, Carlos. Why don't you tell? We're going to talk about VR a little bit tonight, but you and I have been friends for a while. You've been friends with Richie for even longer. Why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and maybe specifically why you are attached to VR and video games in general?
Oh wow! Just some of my entire existence.
Start from when you remember the whole opening and the doctor saying like, "Oh, it's coming out, it's a boy," and then go from there.
Oh, brother. Jesus, my background. So I was actually born in Mexico and moved here when I was 9. And so my pop culture has always been slightly behind you guys. I feel behind America because if the movies would have come out for you guys, then they'd be translated, then they'd make it over to me. So, once I moved here,
you're just now getting into the great part of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So definitely when I moved here, I had a lot of catching up to do. But I mean, I cut my teeth on the first NES in '85, and I've been a Nintendo kid, owned every console on the way up, and then picked up the PlayStation PS1 when that came out, and had every PS console except for the 5 because nobody can get it. But VR, I think. I guess how I stepped into VR, I was coming out of a messy breakup that, I'd never played video games in that relationship because it wasn't a healthy relationship. And when I came back into the world, kind of a rebirth, I was like, what's in the world of video games? I'm so out of touch. And so I Googled what are the new games coming out? And PSVR was coming out in a couple of weeks. And I was super excited about it. I went to a GameStop and tested it for the first time. I played Thumper, which blew my mind. And I wanted to buy one, but they were sold out because all the pre-orders were gone because I was really late to that party. Mm-hmm. But as luck would have it,
it's like Bell if you're trying to get a PS5 now.
Exactly. So at the time, Taco Bell was doing this giveaway. If you buy a $5 box, you have a chance to win a PSVR. So I told my best friend, there's a Taco Bell across from my work. I'm going to have Taco Bell every day for lunch and try to win once a day. And he's like, dude, that's the word. You're going to waste your money and get fat. On the third try, I won a PSVR courtesy of Taco Bell.
That's awesome, dude.
So I got
I've never met anyone that's won one of those, so that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So it was a great. I bounced back from that breakup so hard.
Yeah, found a virtual girlfriend.
Exactly.
Well,
Man, we can get into that too. There's some obviously Japan has made some creepy VR stuff too. Like I forget what the name of it is. Like
don't be judgmental, sir. It's fine.
No, that's fine. I mean, to each his own. But it's called like summer's lesson or something like that. And you play like this tutor who's teaching one of two girls like English lessons in Japan and like.
Oh, okay, that is creepy. Okay,
yeah,
so I thought you were like going to be shaming people because they were into tentacles, and I was like, hey, you let that be. But like, no, that's different. That's not as predatory.
But yeah, so I mean, I haven't tried the Oculus. I haven't tried any VR that's like wireless. So I'm really stoked to try that. I'm sure there's a whole other level. But I do love that. I don't know. Would you guys call the Oculus not the Rift, but like the first Oculus that you could put like your phone in it? It was called like. It was like Oculus Eye or something, but with your Samsung Note, you could put your phone on this headset, and like that was the VR, and you could look around, but there was no camera to track your head movement, so it was kind of like a fixed perspective. But
it was almost like a really hyper advanced version of like that Star Chart app that you can get, where you can just kind of like look at stuff, which was cool. But yeah, it's
more like augmented reality, like borderline. But yeah, man, PSVR for the small amount of horsepower that it has in comparison to like the PCs and things like that, I think it holds its own as far as the overall experience. Because the head tracking and the camera is really, I think, pretty decent.
For me, I was coming down to a purchase decision between the PlayStation VR and the Oculus Quest 2. I did end up going with the Quest 2, mostly for price reasons, also for a couple of spec reasons we can talk about later if we want to get super nerdy with it. But I did want to say something that I think is interesting, and another reason that we really wanted you to be here tonight, Carlos. You have the distinction of introducing both Richie and myself to VR for the first time. So we both tried VR. Now, not excluding like the old shit like that you would pay for at the mall, or like the Virtual Boy, which you guys showed off earlier. That was like what we wanted. Like, I think where we're at now is what we were making like sci-fi movies about when we were kids, like approximately. Like that was the type of stuff that you wanted the Virtual Boy to be. But even Nintendo knew when they released that was not where they were at. But we're like in the future now. Like we live in a world where all the shit that they like dreamed would be when we were kids exists on your eyes. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest freedoms of the Oculus Quest 2 is that there is not that cable, which even like the limited time I played at your house when you introduced it to me, I remember I kept getting tangled up with it. So like that was a huge one for me, is going cable free. But I thought you would find it interesting, sir, that you introduced both Richie and myself. We've talked about it fondly. We both remember it vividly. You introduced us both to virtual reality.
Damn, Richie, what did you play on VR?
We had that Eagle game where you just fly around.
Hell yeah, Eagle Flight.
We also had I tried the Carnival mini games thing, which honestly gave me a little bit of vertigo on the rock wall climbing part, where I was like, I know that this is not real, but like climbing that wall with nothing attaching me makes it feel kind of real. And then we did the game, the shooter game where you're like robbing a bank or something. But like I got really mad because this lady was talking to us for like 10 minutes. So you had different objects like money and a lighter, and I kept trying to light the money on fire. I kept trying to swing at the lady, which we'll talk about in a little while, but that's one of my favorite parts of the Oculus Quest 2 and the boxing game, Miles, is when they declare a winner. I wonder if you did what I did immediately and turned to the ref. I raised my hand and then I immediately turned to the ref and started punching the ref.
I tried to hit the ring guy at one point. Like I was like, I'm about to lose to this guy. I'd rather get disqualified.
But yeah,
go ahead,
Richie. Talking about it's called the Heist. The
Heist. Yeah.
It's like part of like the VR PlayStation Worlds. It's like 4 little mini experiences, and I wish they'd make that into a full game. And like that highlights one of the coolest things to me about VR. And what I do, if you ever played like Job Simulator or those kinds of things, or even like the Rick and Morty, not Rick and Morty, Accounting Plus.
Accounting Plus is the one you showed me.
All the Easter eggs. So in like in the Heist, you're talking to someone, but on the table there's like a cigar and like a
That's what it was. I was trying to burn the money with the
Zippo lighter, and if you want to, you can like flick open the Zippo lighter and light the cigar. And if you bring it to your face and pull it away, like you'll see smoke coming out of it. So like you can actually smoke.
Oh, wow.
the cigar. So that's really cool, man. And yeah, I forgot. So the Heist was one of the ones that I tested before I owned a PSVR at a GameStop, and I tried the Heist, and there's a car chase scene, and you're in the driver's seat, and if you stick your head out of the window, you hear wind rushing. So
cool.
it's so immersive, and yeah, I appreciate those little touches that are not gameplay related, not relevant to the mission. Like in the same like getaway scene, you're driving and there's a car stereo. You can change the radio station. You can check under like the sun visor and like all those cool things that like doesn't help you do anything, but it's just
cool.
Really.
Yeah. I play poker, like Poker Stars VR or whatever. I played a little bit of that, and like they have like lighters and cigarettes and things like that you can actually. Oh yeah, thank you. Virtual reality is what we're talking about tonight. Appreciate you. But yeah. You can like actually like, play with a lighter, and there's just like stuff that has absolutely no purpose in the game, like you're saying, but it's just like, holy crap. And I even remember when I was playing at your house most recently, you would almost like roast me a little bit because I just legit kept forgetting that I can just like walk over to stuff. Like sometimes I'm like using the thumbstick to move because I'm playing a video game.
You were reaching for it. You're like, I can't. I'm like, just like, take a few steps and then get it. And you're like,
oh yeah. Yeah. Cause I'm like sitting here like trying to like get it and it's just out of my grasp. It was like a dangling carrot just like running away from me. Only it wasn't. I was just too dumb to move.
It takes like hunting for Easter eggs to a whole new level because like you see something in the VR world and you're like, I wonder if like they coded something interactive with this because I want to do it, and then whenever you reach out and it behaves the way a real thing would in the real world, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, honestly. At times, just like some of the little details, like even when you just log in to the Oculus Quest 2, at least, you're put into this like fake home, I guess, for lack of a better word, but you can like choose what your setting is. I have it at like this tropical island, like hut villa type thing. And like, you've got your furniture around you and you look out and you see mountains and ocean and just like incredible views. And like with no interactive quality whatsoever, you can just kind of be blown away, just kind of looking around at your surroundings because it looks so believably real. I kind of joked recently, it's almost to the point where this technology is getting so good that like fuck taking care of your like actual body. Like we'll just move into VR. It'll be Ready Player One time.
Like the movie
Working out sucks, dude. Yeah. Like I don't want to do that. Dieting, it's for the birds. Just put on a headset and I'm fucking Thor.
And now I got to try the Oculus because, like I said, I haven't tried it. All I know is PSVR, and I just know Oculus is better. But it's one thing knowing it's better, and another thing like seeing it. So
I think subtle. I think subtle for sure. Because again, we both have our first experience on your headset, and then we both went to the Oculus Quest. And I mean, just from basic memory, it's still the same graphically and whatnot. I think technically, like the Quest has a slight upgrade, but I mean, at a certain point, our eyes can only keep up with so much.
Sure. It's higher resolution, right? I mean, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay, cool. But it's probably still like the 120 like hertz like refresh rate. I think it's
I believe so. I would have to Google that one, to be honest. That's past, my casual, like what I read up on the thing. One other thing
Toby, what VR's? Obviously, Carlos has PlayStation VR. Miles and I both have Oculus Quest 2s. Toby, what you got?
I mean, I've got the PlayStation VR. I've had it for a couple of years now, I guess.
What made you make that purchase? Like, why? Like, Carlos had a Taco Bell fetish. What was your story?
See, and that sucks because I just eat a bunch of Taco Bell and just got fat.
I know, right?
Same.
I wish I could win something out of getting fat. Anyways, I'm sure there was something like particular that I was wanting to try out. I don't know what it was at the time, but I know they were having a sale on them for like the bundle. And I can't remember which bundle it was, but they didn't have it. So I had to buy the Skyrim one, which I'm a huge Fallout fan. I love the Fallout games. I'm not a Skyrim fan. I hate Skyrim so much. It's
one of Richie's favorite games, like ever.
And I get it. I love the idea of it. Anyways.
No, he doesn't hate you now or anything. I was just saying, you guys do have like an opposite
I was
opinion.
Defending it.
He hasn't responded. I'll notice.
But I wanted to make sure I got the camera and the what are they called? I don't even know what the controllers are called.
Oh, the Move
controllers.
Move controllers, yeah. Which is funny because if I have the PlayStation 3 Move controllers and stuff, and they'll actually work on the PS4. You could just use those. So I could have just bought a headset, the headset and the camera, and probably saved a little money. But alas, I didn't. I wish I could think of what it was that I was trying to buy originally. But I ended up getting the Blood Rush,
Until Dawn.
Rush of
Until
Blood.
Dawn. That's actually the first game I played on Carlos's headset.
That's a lot of fun.
Oh, it's great. And that's one of it's because it's a horror game. You can, and it's not like, it's a good introduction to like VR for anyone. Cause they can just sit in a chair and they don't have to like stand and grab crap and stuff. They just, they can. You're on
a roller coaster in that game, going through like a zombie or monster.
Both emotionally and actually.
Yeah. You talk about your childhood trauma. It makes you have a conversation with your mother. It's a lot, but it's fun. It's like she's really there.
I'm pretty prone to like VR sickness or like getting nausea with some games, and surprisingly, Rush of Blood, even though it's a roller coaster, I handle that surprisingly well. I don't know what the reason is. I know like with Eagle Flight, like the cool little conventions they use to mitigate that is if we have a nose as humans that we our brains like ignore it, because if we always looked at our nose, it doesn't provide useful information for our survival. So like our brains kind of like tune that out like white noise. So in VR,
like if you think about it, we can see it now, but if you don't, it's just kind of almost like it's in ghost mode, where it's like a Mario Kart ghost racer that you're going up against. And he's always just slightly in the lead. It's super frustrating.
So in Rush of Blood, you have like you can see the coaster, and like in Eagle Flight, you can see like the actual like the beak of the eagle that you are, and so those kind of things help us, kind of orient. If you're just like a floating camera, you'd probably be more prone to motion sickness. So.
A lot of games give you some sort of frame to give you that sense of stability.
Yeah,
there's a so I also ended up getting the Doom game and the Paranormal Activity game. Now I couldn't play the
Paranormal Activity game.
I've seen that. It looked like it was actually pretty fun,
but I couldn't play it for more than 10 minutes because it would make me sick. Because how you move, it's like you're floating. Like you actually move forward with the D-pad or whatever.
Are you the ghost in that game?
No, you're investigating some. I didn't get very far because like it just made me so sick and I think it's because there's no step motion. I know that sounds crazy, but you're not walking with like a sway to you. You're just like floating, and like it would just make my head hurt. But like the Doom one or like the Rick and Morty, you like point to a spot and then you like fast travel to it, and I could do that, and that was fine. But it was when you would have to like you would move
yourself.
Is that because it feels like you're floating and you don't have that sense of like feet on the ground kind of feeling? Maybe.
Yeah, no, and it just made me like real motion sick. I couldn't do that one. That one screwed me up pretty bad.
Yeah, Farpoint did that to me. I bought the Farpoint package that has like the VR gun, and like it was really, once you step into the world, you look down and you're holding a gun in real life, and you look down and it looks like an M16 or something, and it looks really real. But then like you move with a joystick and you just glide forward, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
That sounds really cool, but yeah, I could see that. I know that even from like just the last few months or year or so, they're constantly coming up with ways to improve that VR experience so that more people they're trying to, simply put, make it so it's more approachable for more people. So if they can limit the amount of motion sickness we get, of course they're going to do everything they can. But it is kind of fun to see the creative ways. The beak of the bird is one of the best like examples of that, and that game was really fun. I also tried that out at your place as well. I am a little disappointed because you've already brought up some games that we cannot access on the Oculus Quest 2. Like there are limitations, and it doesn't have a like VR itself. Like not every headset works with each other. It's almost like PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo to some extent. And like, for example, the Rick and Morty game that you mentioned is not available on the Oculus Quest 2. And there's a Simpsons virtual reality experience that came out when the 600th episode aired about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that is also not accessible. That's only accessible by like a specific model of VR headset.
Man. Hey, speaking of, do you remember Virtual Springfield, the computer game? It wasn't virtual, but it was like
I do. Yes,
yeah, it was like a like Sims-ish like S game.
no, not even. It was almost like open world in a sense that you could like click around and move to travel to different locations of Springfield, and then once you're there, like click on different. It was almost like a point and click adventure game, but you could like there's so many things to click on.
I never played that,
dude. I mean, I'm not gonna say it holds up, but like
I played it yesterday. It's still pretty good.
I definitely say that as far as like the game collection goes, like the PlayStation VR definitely has a lot of built-in stuff that already came along with the PlayStation name, and that was honestly like the only thing that was tearing me in between which one I wanted, because I want to play all those games, but I also like, and Miles helped sell me on it too. The no cords thing with the Oculus Quest 2 is incredible. Like I still don't understand how it can work so smoothly all the time too, but like it's very nice to just literally like. Here's my
Dude, I took it with me on a trip last week. I took it to a
That's the whole
hotel.
here. That's it.
And was able to play like without, because like with the PlayStation you have to be connected to your PlayStation and the extra box, and most VR headsets you have to be connected to a computer of some sort. But like I was traveling last week and I was able to just take it with me in my bag and play in my hotel room at night. Like that was really cool. Like, so the portability is definitely a sell factor, but there is a limited amount of software currently. There's still a ton of great games on there. We get name brand things like Beat Saber, of course. Like there are crossover games that we could play together, essentially. But there's a whole PlayStation library that is just kind of a bummer that we can't access. Though I've heard that they are actually going to release Resident Evil. No, what we heard about this last night, Richie.
I heard it. I was told a rumor that Oculus is about to get Resident Evil 4, and I don't understand how that's going to work or how they even made that happen. So I'm not going to believe it till I actually like have it announced. But
I'm already emotionally invested to the point that I'll look at Bridges differently if it doesn't come true.
But I've also heard from some reviews that you can hook up your PC to your Oculus and basically download a lot of your games onto that. Like if you patch it a certain way, which I don't know how to do at all, but I've heard you can get pretty much your entire app library on your phone or your PC hooked up to the Oculus if you want to.
I've heard there's a way to like kind of backdoor. It's almost like putting it into developer mode and then making some changes that allows you to like, I think it's called side loading if I'm not mistaken.
Well, honestly, in my history, I always go to Carlos for stuff like that. If I want him to get me a piece from China so I have all my DS games available, he's the guy I go to for that kind of stuff. So
yeah, Carlos is the reason, like when he quit the Silk Road, it crashed.
Well, I do have a question for Carlos as another PlayStation VR owner. Do you have yours constantly hooked up? Because I unhook mine all the time because it's so ugly because of all the extra cords and all that extra box. You can't like just have it on a shelf and it displayed properly and pretty. So I always have to unplug the headset and, put it up somewhere. It doesn't get used as much as everything else, so that's fine too. But do you keep yours displayed and up on like the stand or anything like that?
Man, I have feelings about that. So on my entertainment center, below my TV, there's like 4 slots. And so one's the PS4 and the one next to it is the PSVR processing unit. And the one above it is like my headset. So like, yes, I have like all like the cable management behind this. So I mean, it doesn't look bad to me. But I use my PS4 as like my main like YouTube in my living room thing, and I know it's a silly thing, but every time I launch YouTube, if I have the VR hooked up, it always asks me, "Do you want normal YouTube or VR YouTube?" So it's like one extra click every single time, and I'll launch YouTube like 10 times per day at different times throughout the day, and like that's really
almost never in VR.
No, never, literally never in VR, because like that's like I get the draw of like, oh, it's like a movie theater. It's like you're in a movie theater, but it's like no, because like I have a 4K TV, and like, the resolution in VR is like really,
See, I will say with the Oculus, I've actually been watching the show Invincible on Amazon Prime in VR. So I've been watching it on like the Amazon movie theater mode or whatever, and it's really dope. I like lay in bed and like you just kind of prop yourself up, and it's like you look around and there's like movie seats and like cup holders, and you can actually adjust it so you can have like small, medium, or large size screen.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool. Like,
well, listen, if we're gonna try to add a cool point to our VR systems, let's just say that you've got like your PlayStation is in the living room and you've got a girlfriend or a wife or whatever.
Or both.
You could let them watch TV and have or both. You're a lucky man, or maybe not a lucky man, a miserable man. But you could have the headset on and just play your games that way while sitting in the same room because you don't have to have it on the TV. You could play
if you were talking about watch mode, I could see that as a thing. But like if you're just watching like a show. But I think there's too much movement involved with the VR. It would be like super distracting and possibly dangerous. Yeah.
well, I'm saying like if you're just gonna play like I don't know, Fortnite. I don't know what the kids are playing these days. But
there is a Fortnite-like game on the on the Oculus Quest 2. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's Fortnite with climbing elements, and I hate the building aspect of Fortnite. Which is the only reason I think it's called Population 1. That's the only thing holding me back from buying it is that there's a building element, and I just hate the building element in Fortnite so much. But maybe in VR it'll be cooler.
Well, I'm saying like you can play whatever game you want. Like it won't be VR. Like if you play God of War, that's not a VR game, but it'll be on a screen. And like wherever you move, it's just like attached to your face.
So okay.
Essentially,
that's a PlayStation exclusive type of
yes,
thing.
That's what I'm saying. So I could play a game while someone sits next to me and watches Netflix. So you're sitting in the same room.
You're playing a 2D game in your like theater mode next to
yes. So you can do that.
That is cool.
Man, but Miles, I wish somebody could watch our TVs while we're playing in VR.
Yeah, that really
listen, I'm trying to. We've got a cord against us. We've got
honestly, as a PSVR owner, I've been considering seriously getting Oculus for the freedom of being wireless. That sounds so dope. And yes, we both have Beat Saber, but like there's a very limited amount of like tracks on PSVR, and I've seen like a lot of TikToks where people are playing like contemporary songs and like a bunch of new songs. Also, they have like new modes. So in Beat Saber for Oculus, they have a mode called Trick Saber, and you can actually like literally throw your like sabers like a lightsaber and like get extra points for like style points and things like that.
What? I haven't seen that.
But just being able to like spin around like crazy, like while doing Beat Saber and not getting tangled up and like destroying your core.
For sure.
Yeah,
and Beat Saber is still arguably the best game on VR. I mean, it is really good. Another game that I'd put in contention on the Oculus, and I don't know if you have this in PSVR or not, but Richie and I both play a game called Echo VR, which is essentially like Ender's Game, but Ultimate Frisbee instead of War. Like you're floating around in a zero gravity arena, and you're playing Ultimate Frisbee against each other.
Dude, that's amazing.
It's free movement, and the crazy thing is it's a completely free game. It runs on a battle pass system, much like
Fortnite or anything else.
Rocket League now, yeah. I was trying Apex Legends is what I was trying to come up with, but yeah. It's just got that, like, you can download it for free, and you unlock some free stuff for playing, but if you pay $10, you unlock all sorts of cool shit.
But it's definitely, for the price tag of free, has been well worth the money.
Yeah, but I will say it is probably the most dangerous virtual reality experience we've had. Because I have punched my floor. I was reaching for, like, I was so immersed that I went, like, essentially diving for a Frisbee, and I just straight punched my floor. But Richie has me beat.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, when you get the Oculus Quest 2 and you turn it on and put your headset on,
this is important.
It makes you do a Guardian mode where like you can see through the screen into your room and it's black and white, and you have to set where the floor is at, and then you trace the floor where your safe zone is. So,
and you can also add your couch and like coffee table or desk into it as well, so you can actually see that in VR, which is really cool.
So you have a no-no zone.
Yeah, you have a no-no zone.
You can't be touched in the no-no zone. Exactly.
When you make this Guardian zone, and then you're back in the game, if you walk too close to the edge of the Guardian zone, you see the grid pop up in VR, and it starts to turn red when your body limbs get too close. So I need to back away from here.
That's awesome.
This, like, you get disoriented super easy when you're playing Echo, because it's literally 360 degrees of 0G. So like you never know which, you think you're still facing your TV when in reality you're nowhere near your TV. Well, on this game, you can stun other players by punching them in the head. And I did not know it, but I was like half a step from having the Guardian Grid pop up at one point. And this dude was flying straight at me, and I was like, oh no. And I reared back, and I just went bam. And that Guardian Zone flew up as soon as my fist went out. And I punched my bookshelf, which is very sturdy wood that my dad made in his carpenter shop, knocked my Switch over. And then I was like, man, I'll never do that again. Not 5 minutes later, I punched the hell out of something. And I was like, oh, that felt like my TV, my super new TV. But when I took my headset off, I had punched like the outside edge of the TV. So like I didn't crack the screen. But all week, my wrist hurt so bad. And I had to tell people I had punched my TV in the TV one when I was in VR.
So word of the wise, make your Guardian Zone less than full.
I will say it's almost too much freedom. Now, Carlos, you do have, in fact, I've been to both your places. You both have a great like living room space for VR. Richie and I think, have to kind of make do a little bit more with how our homes are laid out. So like it can be challenging to find enough space to operate some of these games. And the fact that there's no cord really does give you that complete sense of freedom. Like you never have any, like especially when I was playing yours was free, but it was expensive in my mind. Like when I was playing your VR, I'm like paranoid I'm going to break it or something. Or like I'm going to go diving through your glass coffee table or like any number of things of that nature.
They make a sand volleyball game. We're gonna be screwed.
Oh fuck, we're totally so fucked, dude. We're so fucked.
Wait, with this wireless business, Miles, you've been to my house. Could I have the Oculus on my PC in my office, and then like in the next room, actually be playing with my headset in my living room, even though like my PC is like in the adjacent room?
You don't have to have your PC at all, dude.
No, you literally just have to have the headset.
Yeah. There is no PC component at all.
In the headset is like the processor and like
everything. Literally, there is no. Now you have the ability, if you want to connect to a PC so that you can like download Steam games and stuff like that. But literally, just turn it on and you are in VR. Like there is no processing unit outside of
two controllers.
Dude, I don't know why I thought you needed like a decent PC to like run the VR.
No, that's like the whole beauty of this. Now, so I'll tell you what I heard, and it feels very believable. It was enough to convince myself to spend $300. What I've understood is, so you have to have a Facebook account connected to your Oculus. It will not let you access it at all unless you connect to in it. And I've even heard stories where people that like use a fake name get banned because you have to actually use an active, like your actual
link with
Facebook
your account.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my understanding is that they have an agreement with Facebook that's like subsidized this. Oculus is actually selling these at a loss because Facebook feels it's worth the investment of getting people's information, essentially, because the terms and conditions of this thing are like human centipede bad. Like they are, you essentially do not own the equipment. Like you don't, like you own the hardware, but you own nothing that you buy on it. Like it's all owned by Facebook because it's their stuff, or Google or whoever. Like but like basically it's like there's to the point where it gets like conspiracy theory levels of like, no man, once you put that on, you're like sucked into Facebook's world and you ain't getting out, brother. But like, I think on like a more realistic level, it's that they just feel that the information that they're going to gain is going to be more valuable than like the slight loss of manufacturing. Plus, they know that they're going to sell you games because both Richie and I have already spent, like a third of the price of it in games at this point, just because you're going to have to get games. It's part of the experience.
I have to ask the important question: can you look up adult videos on the Oculus?
Let me Google that, as I have no idea if that's probably. That was literally like the second thing I did. It was like 10, 20 minutes of Beat Sabers, and it's like, what else is it?
Speaking of Beat Sabers,
Meat Saber. What?
so it worked, Miles?
It did. It worked quite well.
So now Facebook knows that,
I mean, here's the thing. If you already have a Facebook account on your phone, on your computer anywhere, they already own you, dude. Like, how many times, like the other day, I was driving with a friend and we started talking about skydiving and like how cool that would be. And then they're like, oh yeah, I know there's this place on 35 right around here that does skydiving. And I swear the next time I open Facebook and like every time since, I get a skydiving advertisement from that place. Like, they are definitely listening. That is a conspiracy theory. That's not I smoke too much weed. That is just the facts.
That's why I still look up analog adult videos and
that's what.
magazines.
Yeah, I just use a stack of Playboys. I found them in the woods.
So watch it again. Was made in the 70s.
Question for the Oculus owner. So if your headset was fully charged and you lost power and internet, could you still play?
Internet? I mean, yes. Technically, you could play offline experiences that you've already downloaded. I will say the battery life isn't like the greatest, but I personally find that it syncs up pretty well with about my max tolerance of like VR before I need a break anyway. So it almost is like a built-in like safety net to some extent, where it's like, okay, I really want to keep playing Echo, but if I keep playing, I'm probably going to puke. And my battery's at 7%, so we should probably plug this in. And I think we figured out it takes about 90, maybe like an hour and a half to just shy of 2 hours to fully charge from like dead to full.
Man, that's more than on my own. I never played on my own VR for over an hour. The only time when my VR is in use for over an hour is if we're having like a Beat Saber party and like we're like trading and we're just keep going.
Yeah. I think like Richie and I played VR like Echo for, was it an hour and a half tops at max?
Yeah, but like last weekend when I first had mine, we played Contractors and Echo. We played for right at the 2 hour mark, and then it was like, okay, let's take a break.
I think it does also depend on what you're doing. Like the different games have a higher or lower demand for battery usage essentially. Because I noticed like that Contractors game seems to be quite a battery hog, but it's like that's a basically like kind of knockoff of like Call of Duty essentially. And it's a fully immersive, running around with a gun, and you've actually got like a primary weapon, secondary weapon, and grenades hanging off of you. You've got ammo clips on your hip.
It's actually manually reload the gun.
You have to actually you hit a button to drop the clip out. You have to grab another clip, replace it, and then you have to like cock it before you can shoot your gun again. It's pretty cool.
Do I know it's more like the augmented reality, but do you guys consider like the PlayStation 2 camera, the PSI or whatever they called it, and like the Xbox 360 Kinect, do you consider those like a VR style? Or because it's not like the Wii where you're just
motion
moving.
tracking. Yeah,
you're not. It's just, I mean, it's still motion tracking, but it's like you're on the TV. You can see you most of the time. You're involved in it. Do you consider that like a VR of any sort, or is that just augmented reality?
Man, the Game Boy camera did that. Like you could put yourself in the game and like you move your head and like hit things on the screen. So like that is old.
Yeah,
I would say more augmented reality on that. I think
all of those are the pieces of the puzzle that it took to get to where we are now. Like, I don't necessarily think
such a lame answer. Come on,
dude, that's philosophical, sir. How is that politically? What was I offending? The like whole picture,
the virtual reality. Is
like, yeah, we only like our pictures cut up into confusing pieces.
No, I'm picturing that like the classic, like the picture where like the evolution of like the primates to like the man.
Yeah.
Like no, like the end is that we're at VR. Anything before isn't VR, but it was a stepping stone in that direction.
Yeah, but
like the next bump in technology is going to be like one of us realizes that we've been doing like the Roy simulator from Rick and Morty. Like we're going to be like, holy shit, I got 97 years.
Working at Home Depot.
I don't think y'all's timeline works, because in the 90s, Sega was already trying to create a VR headset
Activator
for the Genesis or the Saturn. I can't remember which one it was. They ended up canceling it, but they have like a headset. It wasn't like the
like
virtual
Richie is talking about the Activator, which was the ring that went around you for like fighting games.
Yeah.
You could like punch and kick. And that was like another one of those, like Carlos's example of like the evolutionary chart where like, it's like, okay, now they're putting the motion controls into it. We obviously took that and eventually did it much better. And then PlayStation tried to copy it late and did much worse, but it was good. It just wasn't marketed well. But all of those are just steps on the way to
Power
where
Glove
we're at.
and yes, like
Power
Yes.
Glove, yeah. And you
Have
guys,
you-
again, we talked about it, but you guys both on your shelves right now have a Virtual Boy, which I remember my neighbor getting one of those in like 1993 or whenever the fuck they came out for Christmas. And like, sure enough, we played that thing
anesthesia.
for maybe 20 minutes tops, switching off, and we both had splitting headaches.
yeah.
Now, see, is that VR though, like true VR? Because that's really like wearing like 3D glasses, and you're looking at like a magazine, and it's like, oh, it's popping out at me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like the, what's it called, like
3D.
that viewfinder, like whatever it's called. Like
Yes, where it looks 3D, and that's about it. I really, it's. I mean, I guess that's early VR still. I mean, it's still like
At the time, everyone thought it was, but
The new 3DSs that like have like the glasses free 3D. It
Yeah.
wasn't VR. It was just stereoscopic 3D without
Yeah.
the need for like
yeah.
But like Miles said, all important stepping stones, pieces of the puzzle, if you will.
You know, speaking about the next pieces, you've seen like the little booties, like the feet you can like buy to like walk
No.
in VR. Yeah,
No,
it's
I
like,
have not.
It looks just like almost like
You're
an
talking
insole, like a Dr. Scholl's type insole, but it looks like gray. And so you just put that. I don't know how you attach it to your foot, but then just by kicking your legs, by like sweeping them against the floor, that makes you walk in the world. But then it's
There's
like.
I've
It's
seen the
Community.
little
It's
treadmill
Community.
thing.
Yeah.
It's literally
Yeah.
going to be the VR episode of Community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the treadmill thing where you can walk in almost every direction and it'll like roll with it and stuff.
Omnidirectional treadmills is what I think they're called.
Yeah. those
I
are
don't
really-
know why I know that, but yeah.
There's also like the Wooger. It's like a vest that's like that sends deep bass into. I haven't tried it, but I mean that.
I've heard that's on. Like I heard, like if you get
Yeah.
shot in like Call of Duty, like you feel like like hits you
Mhm.
basically. That's crazy.
That would
So
give me
what-
so much anxiety. I'd be like, I'm fucking dying.
So do you think we'll get to? Do you think we'll get to smell-o-vision?
I hope
God, I
not.
hope.
Do we want to?
I
Yeah,
hope
that's what I was
not.
gonna
Oh.
say. Is like some things are better as a joke. Like I mean, like the smelloscope in Futurama is
but
hilarious.
like
But
the smell of rain, if you're like in like an environment, or like the smell of like a flower, or like not in like adult videos. You don't want to smell that shit. But
That's
like,
what I was about to say. We don't want to smell.
You're letting this stink out.
Movie Matthew brought up The Wizard. I actually was looking at that game.
yeah,
I want to know if that one's actually any good. He's talking about his Oculus over there too, that he can watch us right now in VR. Ooh.
I never saw the Goldbergs
So
episode
meta.
you're talking about, but I love the Wizard, and that's for like the cool kid that's like the bully at first, but then I think they become friends. I don't know, but he's got the power glove, and it was literally the whole
It's so
episode
bad.
or movie was just an advertisement for the power glove.
Well, I thought there was also a game on the Oculus called The Wizard that just came out. I was like actually looking at it. Something about a
Oh, if
wizard.
that's the case,
But
then
I remember that in the movie
Yeah.
too. Yeah, with what's his face,
But
Fred Savage.
kind of like smell-o-vision. Have y'all ever been on those like 4D coasters? It's like a movie, but there's like
Yes.
there's
Yeah,
like
those are
water
so
in your
great.
face and,
Those are
like,
pretty
wind
cool,
in your
yeah.
face. Like, I
And
mean,
going back to the smell-o-vision, at Universal Studios, both the Shrek ride that was like a 4D
Oh,
movie and the Minions ride, which is like a 4D ride, the Shrek had like a fart smell essentially. It was very mild, and then the Minions had a banana smell because they actually shoot you with a banana gun, and like it literally just like made the room smell like bananas.
That's awesome. To go full circle back to Earthbound, like I know like in some of their ads, like they had a scratch and sniff. Like
They
Those were
did.
so gross. Those were so gross.
They
I
did.
remember
I know.
smelling those.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
man.
So the other thing that I want to do, I thought, it said there's something that comes with the Oculus so you can have your glasses on, and it separates the glasses from the headset. But I can't use the piece of plastic because it pushes up on my face too hard. But I was like, I don't need glasses. Like, this is stupid. It's right in front of my face. I'm like nearsighted, so I put the headset on and everything was super blurry. I was like, I don't understand how this works, so I have to wear my glasses. But with the Oculus Quest 2, one of the reviews I watched, you can actually order prescription lenses to put in the Oculus. So you can actually not have to have the need for glasses.
All
That's
right.
really cool.
There's
really
another-
cool.
There's another point for PlayStation because you can wear your glasses and adjust it. It's got the little button where you can pull it forward
Yeah.
a little bit and get it to where you need it. So
With the
I mean,
Oculus, there's basically only two settings. You have like without and then with the glasses spacer setting. But
I don't use the spacers on mine.
have you,
can't.
did you put the foam back outside of the spacer? when you tried it on?
I just wear it with my glasses on like normal.
Well, no, I'm saying when you tried the spacer, did you put the foam back on over it?
No, I didn't put it. I didn't disconnect it at all. I thought it was.
That's how you're supposed to do it. You put the spacer in, and then you put the foam piece back on, and then it'll sit comfortably on your face.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just get hot and sweaty all right here.
So the sweaty thing, actually, that's real, dude. Because like some games, that boxing game we have, do you remember what it's called by chance?
No.
There's a boxing game we got. I mean, like it's a workout, dude. Like I went like 3 rounds twice, and I was like sweating bullets and exhausted. And
the thrill of the fight.
The thrill of the fight. It's a very inexpensive, very fun game. But like I sweat through the like foam padding on the eye thing like bad. Like it was like I'm getting like a towel to like try to like dry it out because it was gross, honestly. And that's actually
here. Try my headset.
Here. You want to borrow this, Carlos? I'll bring it over. But one of the things I've actually heard that is like a cool product to have that I'm interested in looking up is they sell like basically covers for it for that exact purpose. They're like more of a wicking fabric than like the literal sponge that they put on the padding for the Oculus Quest.
That's, even in some games where I'm not moving a lot, it was like a sit-down game, like the Star Wars, the Star Wars VR game where you can like fly around in X-Wings and TIE fighters and stuff. Like
I haven't done that one yet. That sounds cool.
I mean, I can do it for a little bit, but again, like the motion sickness comes in and like it's interesting. I don't know why it's a symptom, but I'll start sweating. I'll get my hands will get clammy. I guess it's part of the nausea. I'm not sure how.
I get clammy too. I get that too. It's weird.
I do not have that experience yet. Hopefully, it doesn't happen, but.
I don't know if it's because it was the first time I was playing VR, but like when I played over at Carlos's a couple of years ago, we played that like robot arena game. Yeah, Rig. And I got a little bit from that, but not that much. But the Carnival game, the most unrealistic looking game that we played is the one that gave me a little bit of motion sickness. But other than that, I feel like I haven't had that experience once with the Oculus Quest 2. Like the whole time I've been like, I'm in VR. I literally can see my Guardian Zone. I would make it come up just so I could try to figure out where the line.
I do that sometimes too. Like you purposely trigger it so you can like kind of like give yourself perspective for a second.
Well, if you walk through it,
your Guardian Zone, does it show you like your couch or just like a grid?
It just shows a grid unless you specifically like mark a couch and stuff. Like you can make it so you can mark your furniture. But yeah, if you walk through it, it just opens up so you can see through it and like you see your living room and surroundings in black and white.
Oh, like a pass through? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
sorry, go ahead.
My 11-year-old loves the VR. So most of the time he's the one that plays it because I'm about 30 minutes and that's it for me for VR. But he will sit there and play it for like an unhealthy amount of time probably. But that little bastard will jump around and like he play in the game because he gets real excited. He's one of those kids that hops around and shakes and stuff. And
you mean all of the kids?
Yeah, he's all the kids. But I mean, he has no problem with it. He doesn't get sick or anything. And then like he'll take it off and be like, "Oh, I need a drink." And you can see he's hot and stuff, but he's also doing 10 times the exercise I would be doing.
Right.
But it nothing bothers him on it.
You're like, kid, where my Fitbit so I get some credits?
He didn't make me. He asked me to buy Drunken Bar Fight for him.
I was watching the trailer for that last night.
That's awesome.
He likes to go in there, but I'll be in the other room and I can hear him like role playing, and he'll be like, "Hey, sir, I'm talking to you," and then you'll hear him start fighting and stuff. It's great. I've tried to film him a couple of times just because it's so damn funny, but I mean, he loves it.
For those who don't know, Drunken Bar Fight is exactly what it sounds like. Where you just walk around a bar and hit people with random objects and get in bar fights. Throw like gumball machines at people.
There's from what I can tell, I haven't played it myself. There's no real task. You just fight in bars. It's like free roam, do what you want, kind of a sandbox kind of game where you just do whatever. You can sit, you can drink, you can do whatever, and just beat the crap out of people.
It's gonna be crazy when we get to the point where it's like you take a virtual drink and like it like injects you with like that amount of like alcohol in your bloodstream. And you're like,
you gotta wear this headset with needles all over your brain.
You just have like you don't have to have any
Matrix.
cables. You just have to have one cord going straight from your headset to your arm.
To your cerebral cortex or core or whatever it's called.
Hey, I'm all for that. That way, my fat ass doesn't even have to move. I'll just lean back.
In the world of Wall-E and Lawnmower Man combined.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna ask a really difficult question. I respect this is gonna be hard to answer, I think, but where do you think, if this is where we are now, where do you think like the next actual evolution is? Like, where do you think like there's gonna be years from now people talking about like, oh, remember that joke Oculus Quest 2 set that came out? Oh my god, that was terrible. That was building towards this. What do you think this is? I'm going to give our guest time to think for a second and put Richie in the hot seat.
I think it's going to be kind of a Ready Player One style. I think it's going to be some harness that you wear that lifts you up off the ground and it lets you rotate in 360 degrees.
That exists. I mean, like a ring, high-end concept.
But I think there'll be like rings around you to where it can like actually project like the landscape and stuff like that. And you can actually like be immersed in the actual world. And obviously you'll have to have a headset attached to it. But beyond that, maybe
it's just a contact lens.
Maybe beyond that, they'll be able to take the headset off and they'll just have like maybe something spinning around lightly that like projects the image in front of you.
They are like, you know, working on contact lens, like LCD stuff, like to show like notifications, things like that. So, I mean, I think the natural progression will be the burden of the equipment will get less and less intrusive. I mean, it's already crazy. Less, you know, battery life will get better. But I mean, I'm really excited / scared of like if we start to tap into like, you know, a neural type connection where it's like, you know, there's things in development where you put this thing on your head and you're playing a video game and it's like a magician game and you think about levitating on some rock and it levitates because you thought about it. So like,
oh my god, that's terrifying.
Like, you know, right now we're like in VR moving our body, but what if you just like lay still and dream in VR? More like the Matrix, I guess, where like you're just like taking
Are we trying to create a supervillain? Because it sounds like we're trying to create a supervillain.
I don't know, man.
But I feel like that same technology to where you think it and you can move in the game would be the same kind of technology that they would use for like prosthetics and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about it, but you would think like if we get to where we can move prosthetics with our brains, then like it's just the next step after that would be like
that person with the prosthetics to be able to play a VR game.
Yeah, like or just anyone. That way you can control everything. But
dude, that's mind bending to think about the idea of like somebody who's in a coma and we strap them to like a VR head, like a neural headset, like we're talking about, and like that would be a way to tell like are they like what's going on? Like are they there? Are they active? And like, wouldn't it be crazy to think that like a coma patient could communicate through like a computer game?
The movie The Cell.
Oh yeah.
That could be weird. You could save lives by going into the VR and talking to somebody on a party chat.
I definitely think you're going to see like the pushing the boundaries of technology and like the medical field for like, you know, surgeries and like, you know, imaging and like for surgeons to like visualize it or maybe like be inside a body, you know, virtually, or like for military applications like drone piloting and that and controlling things remotely. And then like as like they progress to the next step, then they'll declassify like you know the stuff that exists now that we can start to, you know, start finding applications, you know, in gaming and in entertainment and things like that.
Sure.
This podcast is about to get shut down because we've touched on everything they're actually doing, and they're not going to let this information get out to the public.
Know?
You know, PlayStation 3, I believe it was PlayStation. Yeah, it had to be PlayStation 3. When it first came out, they used to have this virtual world that you could go into. You could.
Home.
The home, right?
Yeah,
I love that. It was fun. You go talk to people and whatever. I mean, I was gonna say like in the Futurama episode when they go into the internet and like they're walking around.
Don't go into that part of the internet. Don't go into that part of the internet.
I mean, it seems like, you know, like PlayStation tried to do a server kind of like that, but that would be a next step is having the VR headset on and then walking around in this like virtual world where you can just like go shopping and stuff, because you could spend real money on clothes. That's what that blew my mind when PS3 first came out. I was like, why would I spend $5 on this Ghostbusters t-shirt, because there was a Ghostbusters tie-in on a character that's I'm not wearing this shirt, but you know,
but you're still talking about it today.
Yeah
I would say like getting into a game like The Sims on VR could be like very interesting for like that type of reason as well. Like it's just like and you know they already do have an app that's VR Chat, I think is what it's called, and
yeah, it's like kind of like Second Life. Like remember that?
Yeah,
yeah.
And there's already tons of like interesting. Before I even got VR, I'd listen to or watch some of these videos because there's like people that will go in there and have discussions about stuff, and because of like the anonymity of it all, like they talk about some pretty heavy stuff, and like it's very, very interesting just to see what type of conversations you can have with complete strangers. That gives me vibes back from when we were like first introduced to like AOL, like when you would get it on a disc from a Blockbuster, like that type of era. There was always like those 3D chat worlds, but they were very, very, very primitive by comparison. But you know, you'd create like your avatar and walk around and have like little chats with people or whatever. And it's like they've brought that from like a 2D, it was technically 3D, but they put that they blew it up to something that's almost unbelievable. Like if you went back in time and gave me an Oculus Quest 2 as like a 7-year-old and was like, this is going to be what the future gaming is, I'd be like, fuck you, Space Wizard. That ain't right. Like this cannot be what's happening.
Yeah, I like Facebook's strategy to like, you know, subsidize to get in more people's hands. Because when I first got the PSVR, there was a game coming out that was like a bar room games or something, and you could like basically go into a bar looking place in VR and like play and see other people's like headsets, and that was like their avatar basically, and you could like, you know, walk up to like a billiards table or play darts or like do all these things, you know, all these different bar games in a bar. But I mean, back then, no one I knew had a PSVR. But like, for example, if I went out tomorrow and bought an Oculus 2 VR, I already know like 2 people right here that have one. So I mean, yeah, it's spreading for sure.
Yeah, and they made it a very, very affordable price point. I will say, tying into our earlier conversation, the fact that I couldn't get a PS5 expedited my Oculus purchase because I'm like, you know, that PS4 I have sure does run Rocket League pretty well, which is like the main game I play. And do I really need a PS5 when, I mean, I still want one, don't get me wrong, of course, but the Oculus opened up a whole new experience, whereas the PS5 is just an upgrade to an experience I already have.
No, I was really surprised to find, because like when I got PSVR, I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm not going to really play it on my own that much because I feel really isolated from that, cut off from the outside world. I really prefer to play like with someone sitting next to me because they can see what I see and we're both enjoying it. And I really like love showing it off to my friends, so like and seeing it and watching like their first experiences with it, like just like you guys. Like I love just sharing. It's this. I don't know. I'm saying the word sharing a lot, but like I never expected
sharing
VR
is caring, dude. It was a good experience for us. So.
Well, don't speak for me.
Social experience than I ever thought it would be or could be.
Yeah,
I have the same thing. Like I love making people play that Blood Rush game just because I know where the stuff's gonna pop out. Especially at the very start of the game, there's one good scare that jumps out of the wall, and I love filming people when they play that part because I know it's gonna get them every time. But yeah, it is fun. I will say I have more fun playing it when there's someone in there able to like see what's on the screen, and then because I'll even watch the kid play. Like I said, like I've kind of watched him play the bar fighting game. I haven't played it, but I've watched him play it, and it's funny as shit just watching him like clock people and they just
talk shit to the people in the bar. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I similar, but not the exact same. Not like being able to share the experience with others because I haven't really had that chance at this point. But I very much enjoy playing more when Richie is actually in the party with me and like we can actually talk to each other while we're playing Frisbee. Like it is just like I mean, it's almost like this to some extent. It's very weird. I mean, I don't actually see him, but like we're both there physically, and it's an interesting experience.
What I want to see more of is multiplayer VR games for couch co-op. Like PlayStation did like the Astrobot Escape, you know, one of those like Astrobot games, and like one person has a VR headset, and you can have more players who are little robots, and they're playing on the TV, and like. One like the VR headset guy is like a big ass dragon, and you can see like your friends running around with little people, and you can like try to bite them, and like the people on the couch are just fighting this dragon who's you, and so that's really cool.
That is super cool. Yeah. And they could easily do that with Oculus, with Facebook, with like extensions, or even just using your phone, like an app of some sort, where they could create games where you were playing multiplayer games. 3 of us had our cell phones in our hand. and we're, you know, making choices to attack the person in VR, or even a all co-op thing where you know, just kind of took turns who is the person in VR.
Do you think we'll see VR stepping out of the gaming and more like just like communications, like the, you know, FaceTime, but like if your parents had a headset and you could like recreate an avatar of like, what was it, in your residual self-image, like in the Matrix, like your own projected self, and you could like see your family members in a shared VR space, you know, to visit them and things like that, like a super extra FaceTime.
If there was some kind of like 3D camera setup, maybe, to where like, you know, you could set the 3D camera up right here, and then, you know, I have the headset on, and then we could see each other, and then you would be in the same room as me. They could probably get away with that because, you know, 3D cameras were real popular there for a hot minute a couple of years ago. Everyone was buying them, and YouTube had the thing where you could, if they had the 3D camera, you could scroll around the room instead of just looking at the small area. You could pinch and pull and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there could be some stuff like that, or it's just a virtual area where you just. But I guess you would still be wearing a headset, so it's not like you could see their face. You would see them with a headset on, right?
Well, they could project. You could have it projected in your world as their 3D image, maybe not in real time, or maybe it's a face scan. You know, with it being a full face type situation. That's interesting.
It's got to be like How I Met Your Mother style, where it's just a projection of you on the phone right there talking to them. But the only issue with that is when you call your friend and they're in the bathroom.
You know, I'm just thinking about this. VR is also almost like the holodeck, like in the Enterprise. Like if we're going to send people to Mars and they're going to be in a ship for 3 months, like give them a VR headset so they can be on the beach, or like, or if someone's
go on a walk outside,
or watch porn.
Studying, like people in Antarctica who are like studying, and they're there, you know, and the night is like 3 months long there, and so like they need artificial lights in the room to like just keep that like regular sanity. So, you know, something like VR could really be helpful in those kinds of situations.
Agreed. And I also think there's going to be another component where we might see more businesses take opportunities to use it, because there's a lot of things that could be spaced out in the virtual world where people could work together in a like office meeting sort of environment. Especially as the technology really advances. I mean,
Facebook selling ad space like they used to. They could just literally sell ad space in games and make Facebook more money that way too.
Also
and
very
in
true.
terms of COVID, it feels like more, you know, God forbid, more pandemics down the line. Like if we can't go to the dealership to check out cars, maybe you can go virtually and like walk around the floor or whatever, or test drive a car, you know, in VR. Or
the tires in VR.
Just for you could order a pizza and then go into an Italian restaurant in VR and like eat your pizza in real life.
You know, in hindsight, we missed a huge opportunity to record this podcast in VR. Damn it. Awesome, guys. Well, you know what? I think that we've had a good conversation about this right now. I do have one last question I think we should end on. So what I'd like to do is we'll go around real quick, and we'll have you guys share both your favorite VR experience, and then I also want you to just talk about like where they can follow you, plug your stuff. Carlos, we'll start with you, sir.
Oh man, my favorite VR experience. You know, I've always been a music rhythm game. So like, I played the hell out of DDR, and then died down. Then I played the hell out of all the Guitar Heroes. Then that went away, and now it's Beat Saber. So Beat Saber is super addicting, and the feedback loop of like getting better, like, you know, started off with like at medium and then hard, and like actually last weekend I like passed my first couple Expert Plus songs, so like
nice, dude,
and I was like sweating my butt off. So like, I don't know, as a slightly chubby gamer, I enjoy something that's fun and exercise. So
a little bit of exercise for sure.
Yeah.
And like that, like Wii Fitness type shit, like would be just way better on VR too.
Yeah. As far as following me, I don't really have like a social media presence. I mean, yeah, I guess I have been called a meme lord. So if you want to find me on Facebook, you know, my posts are public, and I feel I post some pretty funny shit. So
I was going to say, I don't know why you started with. I don't have much of a social media presence. We're two of us are friends with you.
yeah. No, but yeah, I don't have.
Then there's Miles.
Yeah,
I haven't marketed anything yet, but I've been thinking about that thing you see back there, or on this side, that like UFO looking thing.
Yeah, you played that for me before. That was dope.
So I play guitar and I play these steel drums, and so I'm a musician as a hobby as well. So I've toyed with the idea of just doing Facebook Live type stuff, just to play for people for funsies. So
super cool.
Yeah.
All right, Toby, what about you, sir? Tell us all about Bad Secret Media.
You can go to badsecretmedia.com. You can find both my podcasts. I do a satire conspiracy podcast called Secret
It's important
Transmission.
to make that clear. Yeah,
I want to say that I wear the tinfoil, but it's actually as a gag, so that's why I have to throw satire in there. I do the Secret Levels podcast, which is a retro video game review show where we go over one retro game per episode. We go over history, the story, the gameplay, the fun facts, and then we rate it at the end. Well, my social media is at Toby Von Doom on basically everything. But my favorite game right now, I'd still have to say it's probably the Rick and Morty game. I really want to play that Trevor Saves the Universe or whatever, because that looks so good. But I like the Rick and Morty a lot just because it's got the humor. You're in that universe, everything that you would want from Rick and Morty. It's frustrating. There's some really frustrating puzzles you have to figure out. But I think it's one of the better experiences. That, and I keep going back to that Blood Rush just because it was the first. You can't forget your first, you know.
That's fair.
I think that's just it's such a good baby step into playing VR. I feel like, because you can sit in a chair, you can see all around you, you can turn around and see damn near behind you and stuff. So I think that's a really good baby step into it. If anyone's like on the fence and you don't have to know anything about the Until Dawn games. You can just play this. It won't make sense, but it's fine because it doesn't make sense anyway.
It doesn't have to.
Yeah.
If I can sneak one more recommendation in there, it would be Job Simulator, just because it's like packed full of Easter eggs and great humor, and they really maximize the things you can do in a space without having to walk anywhere. So you don't have to really. You don't need a lot of motion, but you can really milk it get all the jokes.
That's one that I just bought for my kid the other day, and it looks really fun. I haven't got to play it. That's also because you're a video game collector. That Job Simulator game skyrocketed when it first came out. I don't know how much, because they didn't make a bunch of physical copies of it.
Wow.
I don't know if that's changed, but it was like going for like $200 for a while.
Oh wow,
jeez!
And it was hard to find a physical copy of. So if you have one, you might want to check price charting and see how much it's worth right now.
Very
all
cool.
Right, thanks for that.
And Richie, what about you, sir? What was your favorite VR experience so far?
Well, the first night we played Echo, I said earlier, you can punch people in the head to stun them. Well, you can also block people punching you, where if you punch with one hand, you block with two. And if they try to punch you when you got both your fists up, it stuns them instead. And there's this dude that I punched, and then he was like hunting me down for half the match maybe. And every time he kept trying to punch me, I would just block. And it would stun him. And I just remember him getting very frustrated at first. He's like, dude, what the heck? Every time. So he kept chasing me down. So that was pretty fun. But, like, I got to say this because it's going to sound similar to Carlos's a little bit. I honestly, I have a good history with Guitar Hero because of Miles and our old roommate playing that nonstop. But before that, for years, it was Carlos having DDR parties with actual pads at his parents' house all the time when we were in school. And that was like the precursor for all this stuff. Like some of the most fun I've ever had is playing DDR and like feeling like fools dancing to super fast songs.
Yeah,
I start to get that feeling with Beat Saber, even when I'm playing with myself. And like the first time I played it,
yeah, you were.
The first time I played Beat Saber with Miles, I was like, he was so much better than me. And I was like, oh, it's just Guitar Hero again. Like, this makes me not want to play because I just suck. But I started doing the career mode by myself. And then last night, I actually was like, I'm going to try this song on hard. And I missed, I think 7 or 8 out of 390-something things. And I just remember, while I was doing it, it's like you're holding lightsabers. And there were times where I'm like, I'm just going to spin this around and cut this and spin this around. And you start getting kind of stylish with it. And, you don't even care. You just feel like a badass while you're doing it. And I think that's just a really...
You, get the flow, almost like you were talking about, DDR. It's like
you're doing dance moves
pretty much a hybrid
with it
of DDR and Guitar Hero. It's like if those two had a baby, that's the game that this is.
Well, but it's immersive in VR. It's very immersive.
Oh, wow. $120.
Wow.
Yeah, $80 for $80 for a loose copy.
Yeah.
It's like 30. It's like 20 or 30 on the Oculus store right now.
That's a big difference because like if you get really good at DDR, that doesn't make you don't feel like a good dancer. You know, you're hitting all the arrows, but you're like look and feel super awkward. But
you can't
like,
go do that at a wedding and look cool.
You just lose 11 pounds in 1 week.
I've tried many times.
Yeah. As you ramp up in Beat Saber, just the motions that you're doing naturally, like I don't know, like it feels like a martial art. You feel badass, or like
yeah.
So yeah.
It's a very very
it's
interesting.
Basically,
feeling.
Krav Maga training, same thing.
But other than that, since we're plugging, you can follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off. Nobody cares about his favorite VR experience. I'm pretty sure I know what it is already. You can follow me at @thewiz_kid23. But most importantly, you can follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY. Before Miles talks, I want to say thank you, Toby, for joining us as always. Carlos, man, this was awesome. You brought up so many great points today. Thank you for incorporating VR into like the real world as well and talking about real world applications with it, because that's what the show should do, is heighten everything. And a lot of times we forget to wrap things up. And also just to throw this out there to the world, Carlos and our video game history goes even further back. I think, man, like the Clock Tower days, man. Clock Tower days. We were talking about it before the show. I miss those days with your dad coming in and scaring us. And Parappa the Rappa. Oh, there it is. Yes. Some of the most fun video gaming experiences I've had have been with that man in the bottom left corner of the screen. So thank you for all those fun memories, man.
Yeah, we gotta circle up in person sometime. Now that we're once you get your rounds.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't really follow that, especially since my favorite VR experience was also going to be gaming with Carlos. I've not known Carlos nearly as long as Richie has, but that whole night that you introduced me to VR was one of like the greatest nights of my life. I had such a good time. It was a really, really cool like VR party that you essentially had. And like, yeah, it was you're a great ambassador for like experiences, sir. I'm so excited for your orgy you invited me to. I'm sure it's gonna be just as good.
In VR.
Virtual? Yeah. I thought you were gonna say catching a baseball was your favorite VR experience.
Yeah, it's a different pocket we're gonna fill. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and putting up with our nonsense, listening to our Best Darn Everythings, where we just go off on a random topic like this one. We also do cover Simpsons episodes with our Best Darn Diddler review show. We're definitely going to have Carlos on for one of those as well. Toby's also been on that show many times and will be back again. Thank you if you've ever hit the download button or reviewed or liked or subscribed or done any of those great podcast stuff that we appreciate so much. Richie and I will be back again next week. We're not going back to The Simpsons yet. We are still stalling for a very special opportunity that we're just super excited about. But should be on pace for that after we do another Best Darn Everything next week. And we'll get back to you on what that's going to be.
And remember to watch your Guardian Zones.
So until next time, be cromulent to each other.